Welcome everyone. Welcome to Introduction to Project Management. My name is Bill Dow. I have 23 years in IT, 21 in project management, 9 plus years at Microsoft, but 11 running PMOs. I've been instructor of project management for many years, teaching locally at the college level in Seattle, Washington, Vancouver, British Columbia, and Toronto, Canada. I have a strong passion for project management, PMOs, project management methodologies, and I've written 3 books: The Tactical Guide for Building a PMO, Project Management Communication Bible, and Project Management Communication Tools. I also have several articles on projecttimes.com and projectmanagement.com. Today's agenda, we have 3 items to cover. What is project management? Project management roles and responsibilities, and project management career path. What is project management? Project management is very different for very different people, and it often means one thing for one person and something for someone else. But project management is spread all across every industry in the world. Project management goes from medical to publishing, to construction, to teaching, to social media, to sporting events. Project management's everywhere. There are 2 main components of project management that you must consider: the art and the science. The art and the science. So critical, so important, and something that as a project manager you need to be good at both. What is the art? The art is the ability to drive relationships, build bonds, and establish trust with your team. The science is the ability to fill in status reports, drive a project schedule, drive risks and issues, action items. Without these 2 skills, you're going to struggle tremendously in this role. Without these 2 skills, you will not be a successful project manager. Many project managers miss the fact that art is so important. They believe doing a project schedule, having a risk and issue log is all they have to do. That's not the case. You need to build those bonds, you need to build those relationships, so the art is critical. Let's look at a classic textbook definition of project management. Project management is the discipline of planning, organizing, and managing resources to achieve specific goals. A project is a temporary endeavor with a defined start and end, and in most cases a defined objective in mind. PMI has developed a structured process for project manager professionals that is industry leading and really the creme de la creme of project management industry. There are very few individuals in the project management industry who don't at least acknowledge the PMI framework and the impact it's had on the industry. They don't all use it, but they would acknowledge it. When you think about project managers, you really think about, at least in IT, that there's a 3-to-1 ratio. So a project manager will have 3 projects that they're managing. Now, does that make sense in construction? Not at all. Can a project manager who's building a bridge in Seattle, Washington, go around and also build a bridge in Vancouver and go build a bridge in Toronto at the same time? Not going to happen. So different industries will have different ratios, but in IT, generally 3-to-1 seems to be pretty valid and something I've used and done for years. When you're hiring a project manager, you really do need to understand some of the qualifications. So you could be either hiring a project manager or you could be looking to become a project manager. Well, what are some of the skill sets? Well, you need leadership skills. You need people management skills, technical or business related skills, communication skills, problem solving skills, technical skills from a pure project perspective, risk and issue logs, action items, schedule management, decision logs, open questions, right? These are all some of the qualifications and skill sets you're going to need to be an effective project manager. Don't forget the art and science though, right? So the art, don't forget how important that art and those communication skills are. A lot of people don't think about that, and I want to rehash that point. So when you look at the role of a project manager, you have to look at the different aspects of the role. Project managers are combinations of part-time babysitters, part-time leaders, part-time administrators, right? But good project managers step in and do whatever it takes to get the job done. If I've got to go get lunch for a team or coffee for a team, I have no problems in doing that. That's going to be great relationship building, and the team's going to love you for that. So do what you have to get the job done. Most organizations have to define what project management means to them, right? And then fill those roles with the people willing to do that job. So if you're in a project management spot and you're really administrator, when that's what the company's defined for you, that's the role. You'd have to go to a different company to do a different role from a project manager perspective. But when companies don't define what project managers do, they often put the project managers in positions to fail, and I've seen that for many years. So it's key that project management companies or companies running large projects do establish and define what project managers do. Let's jump into roles and responsibilities for project managers. What do they do? What's on their checklist? What do you do as a project manager? Well, there's a wide range of responsibilities project managers have across the various industries. Project managers in construction industries act and work very differently than PMs in IT. Research project managers are very different than project managers in marketing or event planning, right? There's no one size fits all. From project to project or company to company, a project manager role varies. The caveat to that statement is the industry that particular project manager is working in. So for example, a construction project manager will generally follow the same methodology as other construction project managers. If you're building a bridge in Vancouver and a separate project manager is building a bridge in Toronto, they're probably going to follow the same methodology. A waterfall project manager managing a waterfall project, an IT project manager managing a waterfall project will tend to manage that project the same way as other project managers managing waterfall projects, right? They're technically going to manage it the same way. Scrum Masters and Agile PMs generally manage the same way from an IT industry perspective. There are standard processes and procedures that project managers in the same industry will tend to follow. However, how they follow them is very different, right? So they're very uniqueness in how people execute their projects, but there are standard processes out there. Let's look at some of the typical project management activities using the PMI process groups. So the initiation phase. The initiation phase is a very busy phase for project managers, and this is where they're developing their charters, their project management plan, their budget, project kickoff materials, their budget information, their centralized repositories, their comm plans, their roles and responsibilities. There's 14 tasks laid out here of all the things a project manager is going to do when they initiate and kick off the project. Here's a couple more tasks within the initiation: project schedule, quality management, scope management, action log, right? 22 items total for a project manager in the initiation phase to follow just to get the project up and running. It's a huge and a very, very busy time for project managers. Let's jump to the planning phase. When in the planning phase, much of the information is already done and created in the initiation phase. Now you do the updating. Right, you update the governance model, the escalation model, the quality management plan. You update your procurement documents. You've created them in the initiation phase. Now in the planning phase, you update them. When you move to the executing and controlling phase, this is where you continue to update the project management plan, update the finances, update the schedule, update lessons learned, update change control process. Right, so this is you executing the project, and you're going to be constantly updating your documents along the way. And then finally, in the closing phase, this is where you close things out. You wrap up your documentation, roll your team off, do any support handoff, close out your financials, close out your documentation. But this is when you close down and shut down the projects. The other area that PMI has done an amazing job with is their knowledge areas. So there's 10 knowledge areas that you're seeing here: integration, scope, time, cost, quality, human resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. These are critical to manage throughout the life of the project as well. So project managers must keep on top and drive their projects with the knowledge areas as a top priority, right? They need to understand that they're just not doing the initiation, planning, executing, controlling. You've got to manage the knowledge areas as well. And knowledge areas work together. Not everyone thinks about this, but they do work together. You'll see integration works with comms, works with scope, works with human resources, works with cost. So PMs really need to understand that these knowledge areas are working together, and how can you continue to drive those together. So as we summarize, there's no one size fits all for project managers. There's no question, especially when you look across the different industries. However, many industries have standard methodologies, and project managers working in the respective industries do need to know those methodologies. The execution, as we said earlier, will vary from project manager to project manager, and generally that's okay as long as they're executing and getting the project done on time. What should not be sacrificed are the standard processes and procedures, right? Risks, issues, actions, communications, schedules, that type of thing. All right, let's jump into the last section of the day, project management career path. How do I advance, right? And that's a great question. You're in a project manager role, and how do you advance to the next level? Well, there's several factors in that. That's a great conversation. It's a great discussion, but there's several factors and things you need to consider. Are they already in the project management field? Are you in that field? Are you an accidental project manager? Do you want to continue to be a PM? How many years have you been doing this? What roles have you played in the profession? Right? There's many different factors in considering the career path for the individuals, and you need to consider those factors. Right? It's very important that you just can't you just can't move from role to role. You've got to consider these factors. And one of the ways of doing that is looking what PMI's done. They've done an amazing job. They've laid out the various certifications for the different levels based on the years you've been in the role. So as a project coordinator, you're 1 to 3 years. PMs, 3 to 10 years. Program managers, 10 to 15 years. Portfolio manager, 15 plus years. PMO managers are in that 15 plus year as well. And so if you're looking at it from a pure PMI perspective, you'll see what certifications can you grab and should you have based on the amount of years that you're in their role. Right? Your PMP is your 3 to 10 years, and that 3 to 10 years seems to be the sweet spot for most project managers in the industry. So just think about, you're a project admin, you jump to a project manager goes to program manager goes to PMO manager or portfolio manager, but that's generally the hops that you're going to do. So as we summarize, right, we described a combination of art and science, with communications and relationships being a critical part of the project management roles. Most companies don't do project management well. They just don't support it. They don't fund it. They don't believe it's a valuable FTE role. And so it's filled with vendors or contingent staff, and that's a huge problem. So when embracing or bringing project management into your company, bring an expert who knows the industry and can help you crawl, walk, run through this process. Questions?